With a full revamp and all grown up, let's check out the brand new Martin Junior range. The Martin Junior range has been around for a while, and personally I would say it's one of my favourite entry levels into the Iconic brand, not only because it has a wide range of their iconic shapes and guitars shrunk down. Personally for me, I just like these size of guitars. Not the biggest guy, so these are absolutely perfect for me. But there's a few new kind of variations and new specs within the line. There's certainly a fair few to kind of pick from as well, which I think is really, really cool. So I'm not going to waste any more time. This video is split up into chapters if you want to check out a specific one. But we're just going to dive in with the one that is in my lap, and that's the Dreadnought Junior. So of course the Dreadnought Junior is a take on the famous Dreadnought / D, D18, D28, all those other ones that are in the Martin catalogue, but obviously shrunk down considerably, but it still sounds just as massive. I'll give you another little just earworm here, on much like the intro that you just heard there. Now, I'll tell you the first thing that I noticed when I first played these guitars, that there's not really a compromise when it comes to sound. Now, obviously, these are smaller guitars, so they're not going to sound the same as like a jumbo or something like that. But, if someone's to actually kind of play that to you, just even like listen to this kind of chord bloom here. Staying on that, the kind of like evolution of the note and everything as well, it's all there. And definitely, like, if you give me like a kind of like blind listening test or something, I wouldn't have immediately said this was a smaller guitar. And I think that has helped the fact that all of these guitars are all solid wood. The particular one that I've got in my lap right now, Sitka Spruce, it's also got a Sapelli back and sides on this as well, but that is also where all the variation comes in as well, because there's a couple of other models much like the Sapelli here, which, let's see what this guy is giving us. So the Sapelli going for a little bit of a darker tone there as well, which I think for that kind of fingerpicky stuff, I think it is really good for it. Now, along with obviously these guitars being smaller, it is important to obviously talk about the specs. So the scale length of all of these guitars are 24.9 inches, which is just a little bit smaller than you would expect on, like a Fender or something like that. Actually, the necks as well, kind of going for that more like modern sort of like, I don't want to say it's a modern Fender thing because there's other places, other brands and whatnot that are doing it as well, but certainly a lot of electric guitars will do this, where it's very smooth and beveled edges on those necks, with them being that little bit smaller as well. If you like to do that Hendrix thing and stick your thumb over the top there, then nice and easy to obviously get your hand around there. So that covers the two Dreadnought Juniors there. Now, what would a Martin collection be without one of their most famous models, and certainly one of my favourites, being the Triple O Junior. Now, we just did a bit of an unboxing on one of the Primo Martins that came out recently, which is the 30th anniversary Eric Clapton Triple O. You can check that out by clicking above my head if you've not already seen it. That sounded great. I wonder how the Junior is going to kind of weigh up against that. Definitely a little bit more compressed, which I think would probably work well with like fingerpick stuff a little bit more. Nice thin necks on these, as well as those beveled edges and whatnot. And of course, much like the Dreadnought Junior, there is also a Sapelli version of that as well, which I think looks awesome. Like, look at that. Look at the wood on that. That's really, really cool. Especially, it's got a bit of a black binding on it as well, which you can see it in that B cam there. I think that's awesome. Now, this is probably going to be the one that might not be so universally liked, but it is cool because Martin have this like kind of relic one as well, which is called the Street Legend. Now, it is just the Dreadnought Junior, and obviously it's made to look like you've absolutely been battering on it. But, you know, if you don't mind your guitar having a little bit of kind of like bumps and scrapes and whatnot on it, this might be the one for you. Sounds just as good as the other one, I think you will agree. Now, a couple of extra little bits just to tie this video up as well. These all do come with really solid like gig bags with them. They're kind of that blend between like hard case and soft bag, which personal preference for me, that's way easier to take to a gig. And of course, speaking of gigs, these are all electroacoustic as well. And you have just been hearing them just acoustically as well, because they all come with the Martin E1 system in them, which sounds great. And you know, you're going to be like totally fine when you go to a gig. A couple of extra little bits to do with that tuner as well. There is the sound hole like tuner in that. You probably won't be able to see it. See if I can put it on. You can maybe see it in that camera there, but this is meant just for your eyes only, really, just for when you're on a gig, when you're playing a gig. And also, you know, it doesn't take that huge bit out of your guitar. Now, to actually activate that, it is a little bit kind of tricky. I wish they did make the button just that little bit easier to get to, but it's just behind the wheels where you would be like adjusting your volume and your tone. And as soon as you get used to it, you'll be able to just like bust that out during the gig, no bother at all. Oh, and there's also a bass available too for all you low-end lovers out there. But that kind of rounds up for the revamp of the Junior series by Martin. I think all the additions they have made are absolutely great, and certainly for just a guitar that feels really fun to play, I think, you know, whether this be playing on stage or just lying on your couch playing it, I think you're going to get on really well. The only gripe that I do have is just the button for that tuner, but again, I think you'll get used to that really, really easily. Let me know what you think about the revamp to the Martin Junior series down below, and while you're there, give us a like and a subscribe to keep up with all the latest news at Guitar HQ. But until next time, I've been Kieran, and this has just been a look at the brand new revamp to the Martin Junior range. Have a great day. Ah. Ah.